I don't know what plugins that y'all be using, man, but you gotta run this test on the plugin. So it's actually smart. It knows when there is a real conflict and when there isn't. Hey man, I'm working on a mix right now and I ran into a problem on the last chorus that needs to be resolved. So I'm going to use the new plugin from Wave's, Curves Resolve, to see if it can fix my issue. Let's listen to the problem before and then we'll listen to what Wave's Curve Resolve has done to fix it.
See, we all get beat down by life. Drag us to a place where believing in ourselves is damn near impossible.
All right, now we can hear how that outro talking over that last chorus there is clashing with those chorus vocals. Now I could probably turn one vocal up or turn one down, but that would totally alter the feeling of this song. I want it to be big, like this is the end of the song. So how can I make that ducking effect more musical while still allowing this vocal to kind of poke out and stand out on top? That's where Wave's Curves Resolve comes in handy. It is a smart plugin that's going to use this sidechain input to ultimately duck down, but not in a full spectrum way. It's only going to duck out the frequencies that are actually causing the conflict, thus resolving it in a more clean musical way. Before I show you how to set this up, let's take a listen to what is done after I've applied the correction.
See, we all get beat down by life. Letting doubt drag us to a place where believing in ourselves is damn near impossible. It might get painful, but we gotta keep on going, you know what I'm talking about? It's one thing this world needs.
Yeah, that actually clears a lot of space while still keeping what feels pretty full of those chorus vocals, and I'm dramatically kind of dipping it out, man. So let's show how I would set this up. So the main thing is that you want to use the Curves Resolve plugin on whichever track you want to be attenuated. In this case, I am using it on my hook vocal bus here. That's why I have it inserted, because those vocals are the ones that they're fighting. You can use this on music if you're doing like a voiceover or anything like that and you want to create a ducking effect. This will be really good for that as well. But I'm just using it on these vocals so that these vocals can stop fighting with each other during this last chorus. I simply inserted the Curves Resolve on that hook bus, and then I went over to that outro vocal track and I just set up a simple send. And I'm sending over to a bus 23, just like you would set up any sidechain. I set a send up to bus 23. I turn that all the way up to unity gain, close that out. We don't need it anymore. Then inside of the Wave's Curves Resolve plugin, I just went and assigned that same bus as the key input. After that, I set my sidechain content and then hit that learn button. Let's walk through that together now. I'll just hit relearn and then play this.
See, we all get beat down by life.
It's gonna take a few seconds. Once it starts flashing stop here, that's how we know that it has learned successfully, and now we can use this main knob to control how much carving and unmasking we'll be doing. So I'm just going to gently start to turn up this main control and listen to what's happening.
See, we all get beat down by life.
Let's turn it all the way up.
Letting doubt drag us to a place where believing in
So that's a little dramatic, right?
It's damn near impossible.
So here's where that learn feature comes in handy. On the left-hand side, you have the dynamic. That's going to be like, yo, it's constantly reading that input signal and reacting it. On the steady, this is what it has already learned from that blip that we trained it with. We can get smoother reduction by finding somewhere in between the dynamic and the steady state here. So let's just go 50% and start there and see what's happening as we find a sweet spot for the amount of carving and unmasking that we want to do.
Drag us to a place where believing in ourselves is damn near impossible. It might get painful, but we gotta keep on going, you know what I'm talking about?
All right, now about that halfway, that 50-50 point on the main knob feels pretty good to where the reduction is minimal enough and it like the vocal is cutting through enough that I don't have to like sabotage the hook. All right, let's mute everything else and just enter Delta mode real quick. This way we can only hear what's actually being reduced. You'll notice that when there's nothing singing, no reduction is happening. Let's just see if we turn it up. Hey. Take it out of Delta mode. Here we go.
See, we all get beat down by life. Letting doubt drag us to a place where believing in ourselves is damn near impossible. It might get painful, but we gotta keep on going, you know what I'm talking about?
Fire. So the curves resolve is only taking away what's necessary to be taken away and leaving everything else alone, man. Now look, that little bit of reduction to me helped those vocals to pop out. Now again, let's just see what happens if we get even more extreme.
See, we all get beat down by life.
I love how it's not doing any reduction after he stops talking.
Damn near impossible. It might get painful, but we gotta keep on going, you know what I'm talking about? There's one thing this world needs. It's your life, baby. Stay on the ground.
You barely even can audibly notice that it's ducking. You can just tell that his vocal is becoming more clear. Now that might be a little dramatic for what I want. I think they can kind of mingle and fight a little bit. And yeah, I think that 50-50 area for me was really doing it. Let's hear that one last time.
See, we all get beat down by life.
I'm gonna bypass.
Letting doubt drag us to a place where believing in ourselves
Those low frequencies are really masking.
damn near impossible. It might get painful, but we gotta keep on going, you know what I'm talking about? There's one thing this world needs. It's your life, baby. Stay on the ground.
All right. I gotta figure out exactly what kind of sorcery is happening with the waves, curves, resolve. So let's jump into another session and I'm gonna set up a quick little science experiment to figure out exactly what's going on under the hood. All right, y'all, so it's time to get real. I have set up a simple scientific test to see what curves resolve is really doing and if it really works like they say it does. All right, so let me explain my test, right? I have two aux tracks right now. One of them just has a signal generator, is generating a signal at, let's just put this at 1K, right? Whatever, right? We let's just default that back to 1000 hertz, 1 kilohertz. And on this next aux track, I have the curves resolve plugin inserted. Now, the way this works is that you feed curves with a sidechain input. So I am sending from bus 25, that 1K signal, that 1K sine wave. I'm feeding that into the curves resolve. And you can see that that bus 25 is what is being used as the sidechain input here. And there is a similar signal generator that also has a 1K sine wave feeding into curve resolve. So curves resolve is not only looking at my input, the sidechain input, but it's also analyzing the information that is on the channel where the curves resolve is inserted. Keep up with me, all right? Now, here's where it gets interesting. On some other plugins that claim to be doing the same thing, I ain't throwing nobody under the bus today, but some other plugins that claim to be doing the same thing, they don't really do it. Look at what has been attenuated. Matter of fact, let me just play y'all this just so you can know. All right, you see we got our 1K signal. You don't need to hear that, right? But look what happens. Look what's being attenuated here. Only that 1K. 1K is present in the signal like that could be your music bed or whatever. 1K is present there. 1K is conflicting with curves resolve, right? Now let's see if I move the frequency and go up or down, then this little blue section that indicates the reduction that's happening on the channel where curves resolve is inserted, this little blue reduction meter should go away. All right, so let's change the frequency on our signal generator, right? Up, and you can see 1K is still present on the channel that curves resolve is in, but it does not reduce anything anymore. So it's actually smart. It knows when there is a real conflict and when there isn't, right? Let's change the level. As the level goes down, the amount of reduction also goes down. Wow, right? Now look, I don't know what plugins that y'all be using, man, but you got to run this test on the plugin. If you think that any plugin is doing the same thing that Curves Resolve is doing, run this test and really see, man. This is a truly intelligent plugin that not only looks at the sidechain input, but it also looks at the content. It's content aware of the track that is on, so that it's not just blanketly reducing even if the frequencies aren't there. And look how tight it actually is reducing. It's not reducing everything around it in some kind of weird way. It is staying pretty focused on what is actually the issue that needs to be resolved, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think of this test. Check out Curves Resolved. If you are a Waves Ultimate subscriber, if you already subscribed to Waves, then you already have this. You need to go ahead and download it and use it. You see how I just used it in a real world application, and you can see how it actually works to resolve conflicts in a smart way. I'm Wavy Wayne from WavyProAudio.com. I'll see you next time. Be dope.